9 female weaknesses men must know. Stoic secrets revealed. Modern Stoic. The most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and let it come in. And Zrenia Mori Schwartz. Let's get something clear. Women aren't as elusive as they seem. Are they complex? Absolutely, but impossible to understand. Not in the slightest. The reality is, every woman, no matter how confident or composed she appears, has her emotional vulnerabilities, those hidden triggers that, when pressed with precision, cut through all the outer layers and reach her true essence. Now, don't mistake this for manipulation. This is about awareness, stoic awareness. While other men burn themselves out trying to win her over with charm or endless approval, you'll be the one who remains calm, composed, and powerful in all the right ways. In this discussion, we're exploring the top 9 emotional weak points of women that every man should understand, not to play games, but to avoid being played. Some of these insights will surprise you, others may make you smile knowingly, and a few might even help you make sense of a past breakup you never quite understood. What you're about to learn could completely change how you approach relationships. If you're tired of the confusion and ready to take control, then this is for you. This isn't about being the nice guy. It's about becoming the right kind of man, the one who leaves a lasting impression. Let's dive in. Let's get started. Number 1. Being understood without explaining everything. There comes a point in life, especially as we age, when emotional exhaustion replaces emotional outbursts. Not because we no longer feel, but because we've learned the cost of explaining ourselves to people who never intended to listen. For many women, especially those who've carried emotional weight their entire lives, silence becomes a defense, not a peaceful one, but one born out of fatigue. The fatigue of being dismissed, misread, or labelled as difficult for simply expressing their inner world. And this is where most men fail, not out of cruelty, but out of distraction. They're too busy planning a response, fixing the problem, or avoiding discomfort to recognise what's really going on in front of them. But the man who can pause, who can look into her distance and not demand clarity, but hold presence, he disarms her without a word. I once knew a woman in her late 60s who had weathered 2 marriages and buried more pain than she let on. She told me the moment she fell in love again wasn't during a romantic gesture or grand conversation. It was when a man noticed she wasn't herself and simply chose to sit beside her. No advice, no probing, just silence with warmth. That was the first time she said she felt seen in years. The Stoics taught that wisdom is found not in speech, but in perception, in sensing without needing control, in observing without judgment. That's the skill modern men have lost. And yet, it's exactly what today's women crave, the ability to be felt, not analysed, to be understood without performance. If you want to know one of the deepest emotional openings in a woman's heart, it's not grand displays or clever lines. It's quiet, consistent attentiveness. It's your capacity to witness her pain without shrinking or fixing. It's your strength to hold space, not answers. And in a world that constantly rushes to speak, the man who learns to feel without reacting becomes unforgettable. Not for what he says, but for how deeply he listens. Number 2. Her vulnerability to words that paint new worlds. Let me reveal something you might not expect. Women have a remarkable ability to hold on to emotionally charged words, far longer than neutral ones. Cognitive neuroscience backs this up. She'll remember how you made her feel long after the specifics of your conversation fade. It's not manipulation. It's about resonance. When your words strike the right chord, they don't just echo, they resonate. Now, if you understand the depth of this connection, you'll realise what most men overlook. Your words hold far more power than you may think. So here's the thing, gentlemen. Don't fool yourself into thinking you need to be some smooth talker or a poetic wordsmith. That's the easy path, and let me tell you, it's also the shallow one. A well-rehearsed line is just a hollow performance, and women can see through it quickly. Real influence in your communication doesn't come from trying to impress, it comes from being present. When you're grounded in the moment and your words flow from a place of clarity, not from an urge to gain approval, that's where the magic happens. A modern Stoic understands this. They speak not to be heard, but because their words are aligned with their inner truth. Women don't need perfection. They crave authenticity. And this is the power of the Blessing of Stoicism, being able to deliver words that come from emotional insight, not fleeting desires to impress. Imagine saying a sentence that's delivered with stillness, purpose, and emotional depth. That can break through her defenses far more effectively than 100 empty compliments. A Stoic man knows that when he speaks, it isn't about crafting the perfect line or getting her to notice. It's about aligning his thoughts and emotions, and in doing so, creating a resonance that speaks directly to her soul. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. What if your words could dye her mind with your presence?" When you speak with vision, clarity, and emotional intelligence, you create an unforgettable impression. You're no longer filling silence. You're painting vivid mental landscapes in her mind. So the next time you speak to a woman, ask yourself, are you just passing through her world, or are you shaping it? Don't let your words be empty. Let them be transformative. Speak with intention, speak with vision, and leave a lasting mark. Type it below. I speak with vision. That's the power of the old Stoic way, a man of clarity, depth, and presence. If you understand the power of words and how they shape emotions, drop a comment right now. I speak with vision. Like this video, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And remember, it's not about speaking to be heard, it's about speaking with depth. Number 3, deep eye contact that doesn't flinch. In the modern world, where everyone is desperate to show every facet of their lives, there's a subtle but powerful truth. People, particularly women, are drawn to those who reveal themselves slowly, not in a manipulative, game-playing manner, but through a natural, deliberate restraint that builds an air of mystery. You see, the man who doesn't give away his entire identity in the first encounter becomes magnetic. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, knew this when he said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." The key here is not to disappear or withhold to the point of emotional unavailability, but to ground yourself in your own strength, depth, and wisdom. Most men misunderstand mystery, thinking it means playing hide and seek, but that's immaturity disguised as allure. True mystery isn't about avoidance, it's about mastering self, containment, a core Stoic principle. A man who embodies Stoic principles doesn't feel the need to explain himself to be understood. He knows that it's not the noise he makes that counts, but the quiet power of his presence. The mystery lies not in hiding, but in the depth that naturally emanates from him. Women aren't fascinated by men who flit in and out of their lives unpredictably. They're drawn to men who seem like rich, unfolding narratives, men who are as captivating as an unfinished book. Such a man speaks only when there is substance in his words. He doesn't need to fill the silence with trivialities, because he is comfortable in it, and through that stillness, others are drawn to him. This is the true essence of Stoic self, containment, not emotional isolation, but the wisdom to hold back, to speak only when necessary, and to allow room for mystery to thrive. As you embody this presence, you'll notice how much more impactful your words become and how much more potent your silence feels. Women aren't interested in men who over-explain themselves or chase after attention. They're captivated by those who stand firm, unshaken by the world's demands, choosing to speak when they have something of value to say. Mystery, therefore, is not about being hard to reach. It's about cultivating such internal richness that others are naturally compelled to reach for you. You're not hiding, you're holding space for them to discover. If you've been oversharing or seeking validation through constant explanations, it's time to stop. Take a breath, Reclaim your stillness and allow others the privilege of uncovering the depth of who you are, step by step. Lead with your depth, not your surface, and you'll command attention in the most profound way. Remember, a man grounded in Stoic principles knows that mystery isn't about being elusive. It's about being so whole within yourself that you don't need to prove a thing. Let others earn the privilege of knowing you deeply, and when they do, they'll never forget the experience. Number 4. Masculine silence at the right moments. There is a silence that heals and one that destroys. The first feels like abandonment, the cold shoulder, the calculated distance meant to punish. But the second, the silence of a man who has mastered his emotions, is a force of a different nature. That silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It is the kind of strength that comes from a deep understanding of self, and very few men ever truly achieve it. Most men, when confronted with emotional tension, panic. They over-talk, over-justify, over-explain, thinking that noise equals control. But in reality, this constant talking reveals emotional instability, not mastery. A man who reacts to every slight or provocation shows that his inner world is still under construction. Women, whether they realize it or not, sense this weakness. They feel the cracks in your calm. They sense when your silence is rooted in fear, not strength. They can tell when you're simply avoiding the issue, rather than standing firm. But a man who can hold his tongue, not out of pride, but out of principle, is operating at an entirely different level. He embodies a modern Stoic's power, a Stoic who understands the blessing of Stoicism in mastering the mind over external chaos. As the great Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you truly understand this, you unlock a level of strength that transcends simple emotional responses. Silence is not retreat. It is a stance. It's about standing your ground without wasting energy on pointless noise. It's a choice to not be swept away by emotional currents, a discipline to pause and feel the storm without becoming part of it. Seneca, in his infinite wisdom, famously said, "Speech may be silver, but silence is gold when it is timely." This is the old Stoic truth that remains deeply relevant today, especially for men navigating the often turbulent waters of relationships. The more you speak reactively, the less weight your words carry. But when your silence comes from grounded awareness, not from fear or avoidance, it commands attention, it commands respect. And though she may not understand your silence in the moment, she will feel it. In a world suffocating under the noise of constant chatter, this kind of stillness is magnetic. It is an unmistakable sign of strength, of a man who has mastered his emotions. So stop equating stillness with weakness. True masculinity doesn't panic under pressure. It doesn't flail in the chaos of emotions. True masculinity anchors, it steadies. You don't need to win every argument. You need to win your peace. And sometimes, that victory begins with saying nothing at all. This is the essence of modern Stoic thinking, an art of discipline and emotional resilience. The greatest strength lies not in endless words, but in knowing when silence speaks louder than anything else. If you found this valuable, comment below, and share it with someone who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember. True masculinity isn't about reacting. It's about grounding yourself in silence when others are lost in chaos. Number 5. Her soft spot for a man with purpose, not just passion. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. This line becomes more profound with age because as you mature, the noise, the ambition, the fire, and the excitement of life begin to fade if they aren't grounded in something deeper. Let me clarify this for you. Many men are under the illusion that passion alone is enough. They believe that by talking loudly, dreaming big, and chasing incessantly, they'll become impressive. But the reality is, passion without direction is nothing but chaos. It's fire without a hearth, intensity without aim. Women may be initially drawn to that energy, but it's not what makes them stay. What truly moves her, What keeps her captivated is purpose. Passion fuels you emotionally, but purpose gives you the structural integrity to endure. Passion ignites the spark, but purpose ensures you keep going when everything else falls apart. Too many men focus on what excites them. Too few walk with steady, deliberate steps toward what grounds them. That's the man she will remember, the one she will trust. The Stoic man doesn't need the hype. He doesn't crave applause or validation to do the work. He rises every day with questions, not distractions. What is mine to control today? What can I shape through focus, not just force? That is what separates him from the rest. He is not volatile. He is aligned. She doesn't want the man who needs her approval to take action. She craves the man who will act the same way, whether or not she's watching. That's what builds trust, and that's what turns a man into something unshakable. The paradox? The less you seek approval, the more your presence commands power. When you stop burning fast for attention and instead burn slowly with discipline, she will sense it in your posture, in your calm, in your clarity. If you've been mistaking movement for meaning, if you've been chasing fleeting passion spikes, thinking that will impress her, stop now. Anchor your energy. Ask yourself, what am I building that would matter even in silence? That's purpose. That's the core of the Stoic principles. And that's exactly what she craves, even if she can't express it. It's time for you to live with purpose and mean it. Don't just talk about who you want to be. Show the world who you are. Trust me, you don't need to sell who you are when you live it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. This is your moment. It's time to embody the Stoic principles, to align your passion with purpose, and become the man who leads by example. Number 6. Confidence that doesn't ask for permission. Confidence that doesn't beg for permission. This is the kind of strength that attracts and holds a woman's attention. But it's a lesson most men never learn until it's too late. The truth is, attraction isn't about loud gestures or desperate displays. It's about presence. Modern Stoic philosophy teaches that your emotional state shapes the energy around you. When you enter a space needy, insecure, or overly eager to explain yourself, you're simply broadcasting a frequency that repels. On the other hand, calm, grounded confidence, the type that doesn't demand validation or announce itself, is magnetic. It doesn't just attract, it disarms. This is the blessing of Stoicism. It's not about looking good or performing well, but about embodying self, possession that remains unshaken in silence, that doesn't falter when she pulls away, and that never needs to seek approval. Most men fall into the trap of talking too much, over-promising or over-giving, trying to prove their worthiness. They overwhelm her with praise and validation, unaware that this very behaviour triggers a withdrawal. Here's the paradox that's rooted in ancient wisdom. A woman doesn't crave constant reassurance, she wants containment. She desires the steadiness of a man who holds his ground, not in control or dominance, but in direction and stillness. When you have the strength to sit in discomfort, when you remain composed regardless of the circumstances, you send a message louder than any compliment. I am enough on my own. The most alluring trait is not the man who chases her, but the one who stands firm in his own identity, drawing her into his world, not the other way around. That's not just attractive, it's addictive. You must realize, confidence isn't about posturing. It's about an internal silence that speaks volumes without saying a word. You must learn to not just perform, but to become. Master this, and watch her lean in, not because you've chased her, but because you didn't need to. That's the real power of Stoicism in the modern world, cultivating an inner strength that never demands or begs, but simply is. Stand tall in your silence and own the room, not through words, but through your unshakable presence. The more you embody this calm, unruffled confidence, the more magnetic you become, without lifting a finger. That is the blessing of modern Stoicism. Are you ready to stop chasing approval and start owning your presence? The most magnetic confidence comes from within, from knowing your worth without needing validation. If you're ready to stop proving and start becoming, comment below, "I stand firm in my own power." Let's continue this journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. Number 7. Her hidden yearning to be led without being controlled. There's a moment I witnessed once that has stuck with me ever since, not because it was loud or dramatic, but because of what it revealed about real masculine leadership. Picture this. An older couple, likely in their 70s, stood at a small train station in Virginia. The woman was visibly upset, bags slung over her shoulder, her voice sharp and anxious, about to delay. But the man, he didn't argue, he didn't try to dismiss her concerns. He simply looked at her, nodded, took the bags from her shoulder, and said nothing. He led with silence, with calm, with presence. He didn't try to fix her feelings, didn't offer hollow words of comfort. But in that small, simple act, something shifted. Her posture softened. Her voice quieted. She exhaled deeply, and the tension in her body eased. This wasn't dominance, it was direction. He led her, not by overpowering her, but by being the anchor in that storm. She trusted it, and for good reason. This moment encapsulated something many men miss. True leadership isn't about barking orders or trying to outtalk emotions. It's about creating a space where a woman feels safe enough to stop performing, to stop leading everything herself. In today's world, where so many women have spent years, even decades, holding everything together, that's not just rare, it's sacred. Women, at their core, yearn for a man who can step in with clarity, with presence, and not crumble when things get messy. This isn't about control. It's about offering direction, giving her the space to breathe, and creating an environment where she feels she can finally relax her guard. Modern Stoic wisdom teaches us that leadership isn't about dominating. It's about mastering calm and steadiness. The old Stoic understanding of strength isn't about being loud. It's about being grounded. The man who leads with calm doesn't chase comfort or try to win every argument. He holds the room steady, even when the storm rages outside. That man, he's unforgettable. So when I tell you women yearn to be led, don't mistake it for a demand for control. They long for clarity, for a man who can be the steady force, guiding them with strength and patience. That is the blessing of Stoicism at its finest, knowing that sometimes the best way to lead is to simply be present, without needing to fix or change anything. Be the man who leads through calm, not because you need to say it, but because it's time to embody it. When you understand this, you don't just lead, you transform the very energy around you. All right, gentlemen, let's keep it real. If you've made it this far, you're no longer playing small. You're not out here chasing her approval. You're leading with presence, not noise. What we've uncovered today wasn't just about understanding her patterns. It's about realizing how much power you've been losing through people pleasing. That ends now. Re-watch this if you need to. Let it hit hard. Then move forward like a man who doesn't flinch in the face of pressure. If this felt like a mirror, good. That's where growth begins. Subscribe if you're ready to stop being forgettable. This channel is all about men who evolve quietly, powerfully, and permanently. Speak less, hold more power, and remember, her chaos fades in your calm. Stay strong, stay silent, and stay in control. See you in the next one.